welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Tuesday. You know, I always love talking to former athletes, former professionals, former greats that played, whether they played in the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NHL, or in this case, the NFL, especially when someone calls Las Vegas his home. And he also happens to be a former Raider, a former Oakland Raider, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. Boy, I still can't believe I'm saying that. And now we have this charity golf tournament that's going to be coming up. I believe it is around the same week as the NFL draft, raising money for charity, a big celebrity golf tournament at Las Vegas Country Club. Former Raider QB Jay Schroeder joining us right now on the line. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. First of all, I have to ask you this question. If I told you, or 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, that the Raiders would be the Las Vegas Raiders, what would have been your reaction?
I would have said it was a pipe dream because, you know, they were going back to Oakland. I really thought Oakland was going to make them a deal that they couldn't pass up. But unfortunately for Oakland, they didn't. But it's great for Las Vegas. It's going to be a phenomenal thing to have the Raiders here. The stadium is absolutely gorgeous, and it's going to bring a lot to Las Vegas, that's for sure.
So, Jay, there's a lot of reasons why I call Vegas my home, but my understanding is now you call Vegas your home. Tell me a little bit about that. Why did you decide to move here to Las Vegas?
I just moved down to Las Vegas. I've been living in St. George, Utah, just up the road a little bit in the desert. And I like warm, dry climate. It's good for my body, and there's a lot of golf courses. And with everything that's going on with the Raiders and now working with Westgate as an ambassador for Westgate Resorts, it was just time for me to move down to Vegas. So here I am.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, and let's talk about this golf tournament. I know you'll be at Las Vegas Country Club tomorrow for Media Day to talk about this upcoming golf tournament around the same week as the NFL draft. Tell me a little bit about how you guys put this together, what other former professional football players are going to be involved in this, the type of celebrities you see coming out to this thing, and where some of the money is going to be going to.
Yeah, so we're going to put on the inaugural Westgate Resort Celebrity Classic at Las Vegas Country Club, and it's going to be April 23rd through the 26th, so the weekend of the draft. We'll have all kinds of athletes and everything. It's going to be a celebrity challenge, just like the Lake Tahoe event and those types of things. So there'll be 36 athletes, entertainers playing on the weekend for prize money. And it's going to be a good thing. We'll have a pro-am the day before, and it's all going to go for a great charity cause in Victoria's Voice to fight the opioid epidemic around the country. And I'm going to be a part of it. I know Brian Urlacher is going to be there, Larry Fitzgerald, Mark Mulder, you know. So we're going to compete and see what we can do on the golf course.
And by the way, I'm so glad that you chose Las Vegas Country Club, and I know they have a relationship with Westgate Casino, but I've played that golf course a gazillion times. It has so much history, and it is an absolutely beautiful golf course. You know, I remember, Jay, I'm sure you recall the movie Casino, where they have a scene in that movie where a plane lands right on the golf course as they're going after Spilatra and some of the gangsters back in the day. And that's actually a true story. A lot of those guys were members of that country club, Lefty Rosenthal and Spilatra and all those guys. I'm sure you're aware of that. So the history of the course is fantastic.
It really is, and it is an iconic place to play. Everybody wants to come in, see the Las Vegas Country Club, and we're just very fortunate to be able to have our tournament there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with former Raider quarterback Jay Schroeder. Pretty good career. He finished his career with over 20,000 yards passing, over 100 touchdown passes, and a winning percentage around 65%, which is pretty damn good. I have to ask you, Jay, what do you make of the quarterback position today when you see a guy like a Pat Mahomes and you see what he's able to do as the athlete that he is? Do you think some of these younger quarterbacks, including what's going on there in Baltimore, do you think they're just kind of changing the game and transcending the game and what the quarterback should look like today compared to when you played?
Oh, there's no question. The game has changed a lot. The rules changes, the way you can cover a pass receiver, the pass interference and all the different defensive penalties. I don't know how you play defensive back anymore. You can't touch a guy, but the game is wide open, fast paced, and what it allows is for these athletes to show their talent, and you're just seeing what these guys can do. And it's funny because the game has changed, but I look back in the day, and you had John Elway and Steve Young and McNair. I mean, there was a lot of guys that were great athletes, but the game was different, and it was just played different. And the rules changes and the way it's wide open now. And hey, I got to give Coach down there in Kansas City a lot of credit. He's changed the game around, and I just very thankful that and very fortunate that he won it, and it's great for him.
So one of the quarterbacks that has definitely taken advantage of the new rule change is Tom Brady, and there has been conversations that the Oakland Raiders, that the Las Vegas Raiders are considering offering Tom Brady a 2-year, $60 million contract to become their next quarterback. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a possibility that happens?
I don't know if it's a possibility. I think there's a lot of things being thrown around right now, and I think Tom needs to go to a place. If he's going to leave New England, he needs to go to a place that has a great running game and a good offensive line. And obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders will fit that. With Jacobs as the running back, he's a great young player. So there's going to be a lot of talk, and we'll see what happens down the road. But it's still real early.
All right, Jay, let's rewind time a little bit, my man. Let's take you back to you're a guy in your early 20s getting your feet wet in the NFL, and you're either on the road, you're making a pit stop in Las Vegas, or maybe even you're playing, hypothetically, for the Las Vegas Raiders. Going back to that time frame, how would you have handled this city? Would you have been able to handle it all right? And how do you think some of these younger players will handle coming here to Las Vegas?
Well, I'm sure. I will tell you this. I would guess that 90 to 95% of them will handle it properly and realize they're on the road. They're there to do a job, and hey, look around and say, hey, this would be a fun place to come back to in the off season. Mm-hmm. You only get 16 chances a year to show your craft, and you got to make the most of them. So I think most of the guys will. Mm-hmm. Now, there are going to be guys that go out and do stupid things they do in every town.
Right.
It's just what it is. And but I don't think it's any different than any other town. I just think that what it's going to bring is you're going to find a lot of these guys that will come back in the off season and go, hey, look, there's a lot of things to go on in Las Vegas, and it's not all just about the Strip and just downtown, but that's a big attraction, and it's going to be interesting to see, but I think most of the guys will handle it properly.
Do you think that a lot of free agents will flock to the Las Vegas Raiders?
I think so. There's obviously a great place to be. The big thing that everybody's got to overcome is, hey, you live in Las Vegas, you're on the Strip all the time. You're not on the Strip all the time.
Right.
I mean, you're just not. You look around and, the different parts, Summerlin, Henderson, Southern Hills, Southern Highlands down here. There's some great places to live and, good schools and everything else. So I think there's going to be a lot of attraction.
Well, Jay, before we let you go, I got to ask you a little bit about the gambling and the atmosphere around the country now, where it appears as though gambling, for the most part, within several years, it's going to be legalized everywhere. I mean, we all know what happens here in Las Vegas, but back in the day when you were playing, did you guys ever know what the spread of a game was? And how do you think now, it seems like the NFL is embracing it now more than ever before, where they kind of avoided the subject. I saw a stat where I guess 90% of people that are watching an NFL game actually have some sort of action on the game, whether it be illegal or illegal. What do you make of the gambling atmosphere today? And did you guys ever know even what the spreads were back in the day when you were playing?
I will tell you this. There's guys that knew what the spread was. There was guys that, because that's part of what they enjoy to do. And I never paid attention to the spreads. I was worried trying to make sure I was upright and still could do my job.
Right, of course.
But there are guys. It's like every other culture. People that love gambling are going to look. And that's not going to change. And that's been going on forever. So that's not going to change.
Jay, best quarterback you ever faced up against?
Oh, my gosh. Are you talking – that's an interesting question, because are you talking a pure passer, a guy that just did everything in the game? I mean, I got to play against some of the all-time greats. I mean, I played against John Elway in high school, college, and in the NFL. So we kind of grew up together. Best pure passer I ever saw was Dan Marino, just the way he could throw it.
Yeah.
And the guy that did everything, I mean, obviously the guy that is synonymous with winning is Joe Montana. And, so it's hard to categorize, and put them into, who's the best ever. hey, they all had great runs. They're all fantastic quarterbacks, and unfortunately, I had to compete against them.
What I have to ask you this: what do you recall as the biggest hit you ever took in a game, and do you remember who it was?
I don't remember. No. I will tell you this, that the night in '86 in the NFC Championship game, we were playing in New York the year that the Giants ended up winning the Super Bowl, and I got hit in the game, ended up finishing the game, and then I passed out on the sidelines at the end of the game when I went to take a knee and everything, and I woke up 2.5 hours later. I woke up 2.5 hours later in the training room. So that was pretty good whack.
You passed out, so I would imagine you had to have some sort of concussion, right?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Do you remember? Do you know who actually laid that hit on you?
I believe it was Jim Burt hit me on a pass and then kind of whiplashed me back onto the turf.
Oh my God.
And all that. I do not remember the end of the game. I was told by Dan Riley, who was our strength and conditioning coach, that I came over towards the end of the game and took a knee, and you know how you always lean on your helmet. I guess I didn't put my helmet down and just fell on my face.
Oh my God, that is scary. That is scary, Jay.
But I had, I was out for about 2.5 hours. Everybody was out of the locker room. Just me and the doctors were there, and I had a headache for about 3 weeks after that.
Oh my God. So I have to ask you a little bit about concussions. How many concussions do you think you had? Might be a difficult question for you to answer over the course of your career, because obviously it's very different now the way they treat these things.
Right.
But how many concussions do you think you had? How is your health right now? And are you concerned that down the road that you could have some issues? We hope you don't, obviously, when it comes to all the hits that you faced throughout your career.
Yeah, I know of at least 3 that I had. That was the most severe one by far. But I know a lot of times I got knocked and, wasn't right. The good news is they know a whole lot more now.
Right.
And they're aware of it, and they're taking care of guys, and that's great. As of right now, my health is good. I can't complain. I've had 13 operations and still moving around and still able to play golf and, remember who I am when I wake up in the morning, so life's good.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Life's good. What the future holds, nobody knows.
Right.
That's just what it is. But I will tell you this, I had an opportunity to play 11 years in the NFL, and if somebody told me I could go back and do it again, I would. No questions about it.
Are there any programs instituted by the NFL to help you with, we'll say heaven forbid something happens to you, but are there programs instituted by the NFL to actually help you with those expenses currently?
Well, they're getting there, yes. They're getting to be more and more prominent. There's really nothing they can do with the CTE that, because once it comes on, it comes on. And it's just like everything else. But, you just try to be aware of it. Sure. I mean, I can guarantee you that if you took a scan of everybody that ever played in the NFL, you'd go, hey, they probably have CTE.
Yeah. Sadly, I tend to.
I mean, it's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we all knew it's a brutal game, and that's not going to change. But those are the risks we take, and you just hope that you can function and keep going, and
sure.
not be a life debilitating type thing.
Right. Sadly,
so that's the sad cases.
Sadly, yeah, there are some cases, as you said, like that, but we're glad you're not one of those. And I have to ask you the billion-dollar question: what is your golf handicap? I would imagine with your skills, with your hand coordination,
very important.
You have to be under a 10. Is that fair to say, Jay?
Well, I'm right at a 10. Unfortunately,
wow.
I've had 2 back surgeries. I have a shoulder that has major surgery, and I've had a neck surgery. So any given day, I have to kind of readjust my swing a little bit, but I'm right at a 10 right now.
All right, I'm going to say the over-under tomorrow, 82.5. Would you take the over or the under with your score tomorrow?
Ooh, I'm, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to have to say over because I popped the tendon in my foot 2 days ago. So I'm kind of limping around a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes out there. But hey, I'm still playing. I'm not backing down. I'm still going to play. It's just going to look a little uglier.
Just as long as you don't pass out. Don't pass out on that.
No pass
No,
out.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't pass out. No, I won't pass out. I'll just limp around a little bit, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, if Tiger can do it with one leg, you certainly can. There's no question.
Hey, exactly.
Okay, Jay, based on the current team and the triumvirate of Mark Davis, John Gruden, and Mike Mayock, how soon do you think the Raiders are away from making the playoffs?
Believe it or not, I would think that there's an outside chance next year, but the following year and the year after, I think they'll have a really good run. I think there's a couple of issues just on the offensive side. I think they're probably one real big playmaker away on the offensive side, but the defensive side, they need some help. They need to get some guys on the defensive side to get going. So, but the encouraging thing was some of the young guys, pass rushers last year, really played well. So that was encouraging. But they need to get some DBs out there that that's the toughest position right now to play. I don't know how these guys do it.
What position do you think that they should draft? What's their top priority? I have them. If Grant Delpit ends up falling to them, I have them picking up Delpit at safety at 15.
Yeah, that would be a good pick. I would agree with you there. I think something in the defensive secondary, a top-notch corner or safety would be the ideal spot for that.
Well, Jay, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and for what you're doing with this golf tournament, which is going to be coming up in April, raising a lot of money for charity, a great cause. We're glad that you call Las Vegas home now. Certainly a Raider legend, and thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Looking forward to meeting you tomorrow at Las Vegas Country Club, sir. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Take care of that foot. Jay Schroeder.
I will.
All right. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks a lot, Jay.
Raider legend Jay Schroeder, former quarterback, obviously joining us on the line. And, oh, my God, what a crazy story he just gave us. He gets hit. He doesn't remember the end of the game when he took a knee. And then he passes out on the sidelines, doesn't remember anything.
No. And he wakes up 2.5 hours later in the training room.
First of all,
that would never happen in today's game.
And first of all, when you're knocked out unconscious, usually in today's game anyway, you're out for maybe a minute or two, and then you get up. He's saying he was unconscious for 2.5 hours. That's like unheard of.
He would have been in the concussion protocol for at least 10 to 12 games. He would have absolutely been in the IR, possibly. It could have been a career-ending type of thing.
That's unbelievable.
In this, because, again, what's happened with CTE. It's crazy how close he was to John Elway.
Yeah, that's
John Elway to me is the you go back and you watch. I watched some film of his a couple days ago. There's a play where he's probably at the 37-yard line, the opponent or his own 37-yard line. He avoids a sack, steps back, throws it 63 yards on a rope into the end zone. I mean, the guy was an unbelievable talent. That's why I asked that question. I didn't know if he had a relationship with Elway, but it's cool to find out that he did.
Well, we appreciate Jay taking some time to join us, and if I see a guy limping at Las Vegas Country Club tomorrow, I'll know exactly who it is.
Exactly.
That would be Jay Schroeder. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for hate mail. We're going to read those off to you coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.